Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be growing her attraction from long distance. I've got an email here from a viewer, and he's been getting laid a lot. And like I talk about, sex is great with a beautiful woman. But making love to a beautiful woman who you're crazy about, who you can't stop thinking about when you're not with her, and who feels the same way about you, it's fucking night and day difference. And that's what this particular guy is hanging out. And so for you guys that are watching the video and you're not getting laid that much, and that's what you think is going to take to make you happy, let's listen to what this particular viewer is going through. And he says, "Hey Corey, so recently I've been seeing women who are in the swinging lifestyle. And Corey, I've not had so much fun and sex with different women in my life. I'm literally having a ball. I've had sex with 23 different women in the past 2 months. It's crazy. To me, it's better than online dating because I'm not looking for a relationship, and neither are they, and it cuts out all the spending money on dates that leads to half the time to nowhere. Those are my updates, but this is the real reason I'm writing." And so, I mean, that's great that you're doing that and that you're getting laid all the time. But at the end of the day, you're like most guys, and sex is awesome, but you really want something a little more meaningful. But yeah, you still enjoy any good session of the indoor Olympics from time to time, which is a great thing, and I think everybody should experience it. But the real juice in life is when you're in a relationship with somebody you're crazy about who feels the same way. And because sex is really a small part of your relationship, you got to choose somebody that you really like hanging out with and who you enjoy talking to and who's fun to be around and who's interesting, and you could like listen to them for days on end and just seemingly never get bored with them. It's such an amazing feeling to feel that way about somebody and connect with somebody and be that way with someone. But great sex is a lot of fun too, especially like if you're new to the stuff that I teach. But at the end of the day, sex is only fun for so long, and then you want something more. Like this guy's like 23 different chicks in the past 2 months. And it's awesome. It's because people that can have those kind of relationships and then they're in this swinging lifestyle, they're not into getting attached or hung up. It's like everybody going in knows what they're getting, that it's strictly about sex. But at the same token, so if you're looking for something more meaningful than just sex, hanging out with a bunch of swingers is obviously not the way to go about it. So he says, "I just recently started talking to this sexy-ass woman that I met last year. Last year, I totaled my car, and my ex and I went to this car dealership, and there was this beautiful, sexy woman, and she caught my eye from day one. I'm a quiet guy, but when she was selling me my car, I was talking to see if there was any door that I could enter. It probably was at the time, but it could have went over my head. Plus, I was still with my ex at the time, and I didn't want to mess that up. So after she sold me the car, I friended her on Facebook, and we became friends, but we never texted or had a conversation. So in December last year, I moved to another state because of a military move, and I left it at that. Then the ex and I broke up, and there wasn't anything going on with the woman who had sold me the car. And it was about January when I was living in Georgia, and she was living in Texas, and I noticed in one of her Facebook statements that she was moving to Georgia. He said, I said to myself that as she moved here that I was going to make a play on her now that I'm single. Well, she never moved here, and again, I left it at that. Well, just as recently this month, I posted a new picture of myself, and out of nowhere, she commented about it, not where my friends could read it, but she actually sent me a message, a private message on Facebook. He says, so I messaged back, and I found that the door was open for me to enter to make an advance towards her. And we both made comments from her initial message, and eventually she gave me her number and told me to call her anytime. Twice she said this. Then while at work, she texted me her email address and told me her email. And now I have 2 ways to get in touch with her, both of which I didn't ask for. I mean, when a woman does that, it communicates that, hey, I like you. He says, so my next question is, how much communicating on the phone do you think I should make? She says call her anytime. The one time I didn't text her one day, I got a text that night from her saying, hey, I haven't heard from you all day. I hope all is well. So from her stating this, I'm confused as to how much I need to initiate communication. And since she doesn't live where you live yet, which I'm going to get to that in a minute, stick to once a week. If you haven't heard from her, reach out to her once a week. And just stick with that. And the idea is that because you're going to talk, you're going to chit-chat, because that's all you can really do because you don't live in the same state right now. So he says, she initiates communication, but I think she wants me to do the contacting. It's always better if a woman does most of the pursuing. Remember, it's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. And so if you do all of the initiating and you do all the contacting, then there's really nothing for her to be unclear about. And it's just it's gonna cause her not to chase and not to pursue you like she could be. So he says she comes from Germany originally, and I have no idea how women over there are accustomed to being courted. It doesn't matter where she's from. Women respond to the same emotional stimuli. It doesn't matter where they're from. I mean, I answer emails from guys on pretty much every fucking continent in the world, and they all respond the same. The only thing that gets in the way is laws or religious restrictions or moral dogma or societal customs that tend to be a little more restricting in some countries more than others. He says, I know from women in this country it varies, but I have no idea how much phone communicating I should get involved with her until I visit her next month and I move back to Texas this time next year. And so obviously he's going to be moving back to Texas. And so like I said, once a week. That's all I would do on your part. Because if she was here in town, you would just be calling her and going out with her once a week. Now here's what happens when the woman is in town with you and you call her and you make a date with her once a week and you go out once a week. Usually by the second or third week, she'll be calling and texting you a couple of times. In between, you're reaching out to her. So if like you take her out on a Wednesday for dinner, usually like Friday or Sunday, she'll text you to tell you what a great time she had or that she was thinking about you or just some innocuous thing. And you just simply use that as an opportunity to create your next date, your next fun-filled romantic opportunity for sex to happen. That's all you need to do as the guy in the relationship. Just arrange a time to get together. But in this particular case, since you're long distance, you call her once a week just to say, hey, what's up? And then what happens is, since you don't reach out to her, more than likely, because this girl's pursuing you, she's the one that's reached out to you. She gave you her phone number. She gave you her email address. She commented on your Facebook picture first. She's the one that started something first. So she's already pursuing you, and so you want to facilitate that. You want that trend to continue. Current events form future trends, as Gerald Celente likes to say of the Trends Research Institute. And so once you get her started on that trend, you want to keep her moving in that direction. And so by simply only calling her once a week and chatting and being the first person, being the one who ends the conversation, always leaving her wanting more, that's what you need to do, especially if this conversation starts to become dull or becomes stale, boring, or you kind of feel like it's kind of dying. Then you just say, hey, it was great chatting with you, but I'm gonna run. Let's definitely talk again in the next week or so. Give me a call. And then you just get off the phone. And if you don't hear from her and a week goes by, then call her and you chat again. And that's pretty much all you can do until you see the girl. But more than likely, she'll start reaching out to you. And so when she starts reaching out to you, then you just simply call, or you call her back, or you talk to her, you text her, and be the first one to leave the conversation. You want to leave her wanting more. Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks. I got to run. I'll talk to you later. And then that's all you got to say. He says the worst thing you can do is start chasing and pursuing her, which is just going to drive her away and turn her off. He says, I'm moving back to Texas mainly to be closer to my sons who live there. And she knows that I'm moving back next year, and she insists that I head back to the same post that I had last year where she is and not get assigned 3 hours. In other words, she is letting it be known that she hopes that you get assigned to the same military post where she lives. All that communicates interest, and it's good, and you want to facilitate, and you want to keep her in that place. He says, the post that I have in mind will put me about 2 hours away from my sons as opposed to going back to where she is, which will put me an hour away from my sons, but right near her. I know I said a lot, but I wanted you to know her actions, the situation, the distance in my situation, the dilemma communicating, because I don't want to seem like I'm blowing up her phone. Well, that's why you make sure she's doing 70 to 80% of the calling, texting, and pursuing. But since this is so early stage, stick to once a week. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, obviously you guys are texting every day for the most part. And if she's texting you all the time, then you pretty much all you really need to be doing is reaching out to her. And you should look at the phone as almost kind of like a date. When she texts you, Arrange a day and a time where you can talk to her, where you're not working and she's not working, where you can spend a half hour, 40 minutes, whatever it happens to be, and you can catch up on everything that's going on in her life. Make sure she's doing 70 to 80% of the talking by you asking the questions. Then after a half hour or so, you just say, hey, it was really great catching up, sweetheart. It's really great catching up. I can't wait to see you in a few weeks, and I got to run. I'll talk to you later. And then if you always leave her wanting more, if you're always the first one to end the conversation, then she's going to, when she starts to think about you more, which will just be in another day or two, she'll probably text you again. And then you just simply arrange another time to talk again on the phone, and then be the first one to end it. And then that way, once you see her in person, she'll be wound up even that much more sexually, so it'll be really easy to seduce her when you guys are together. And just, so when you meet up, make sure you go and do something that can either lead back to her place or your place for sex, because it sounds like from what you've shared with me, you've done quite a bit right, and so she seems like she's reaching out more and more and trying to facilitate things. So like I said, just make sure, this is really important, that you keep it so she's doing 70 to 80% of the calling, texting, and pursuing, and the talking when you're actually talking to her through Skype or over the text or whatever. And just, be the first person, be the one that ends the conversation all the time, just so she gets enough of you, but not enough to the point where she gets bored. And then you just, hey, I got to run. It was great hearing from you. I love hearing your voice again. I can't wait to see you. That's all you got to do, man. And then when you see her in person, sweep her off her feet, have a great time, seduce her, have a great time with her. So if you have a question you want to ask me, go to my website, click the Contact Me tab, which will be on the left-hand side of your screen, and send me 1 to 2 paragraphs max, and just give me several days to get back to you with a response. If you want to talk to me right away, the quickest way to get my help is to book a paid phone coaching session. You can do that by going to my website, click the Products tab, which will be at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions. If you want to get a digital version of my Kindle ebook, on my website underneath the email sign-up box is a box that has a link that will take you right to the Amazon Kindle download page. Once you get there, if you don't have a Kindle device already, you can click the button on the right-hand side to download one of their free e-reader apps for your smartphone, tablet device, or your computer. It only takes a matter of seconds to download and install the app and complete the purchase of my book. And if you appreciate the value of the information I offer in these video newsletters, the articles on my website, and my ebook, you can show your appreciation by going to my website. And on there will be a toolbar, which will be at the bottom of your screen. Click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information. And I will talk to you soon.